Thanks for checking out this video. This one is going to be about what I consider what a pistol should be. This one's going to be all about Berettas, specifically M9 92 variants. It's going to be about why I like them, comparing some different brands and types, and just kind of going through my love of the Beretta platform. So we're going to switch up the camera view. I'm going to do like this is more of a tabletop vibe, just so that I can get them all in shot. And we go over them, talk about why I've got so many, what I think about them, what I like about them, and what I don't like about them. And yeah, let's get into it. We've got a few different variants of the M9, we'll call it. I'm probably just going to refer to them as Berettas. So a few different Berettas. And when I refer to it like that, I mean variants of the 92 pistol platform. So we got a chrome 92 FS. This is a Tokyo Marui. I've changed the grips on it. I prefer these grips on this pistol. Shows off more of the chrome. Did come with the sort of wraparound like Tackmaster grips. I think these ones are actually from this pistol. Really nice chrome pistol. You wouldn't think that it was plastic. When you look at it, it's done really well. The finish is great. Tokyo Marui. Got a Tokyo Marui Tackmaster. This has a different lower on it, which I'll get into. This is the original one. Yeah, super nice. This isn't mine, this is my housemate's. We both share a very fond love of Berettas, so I'm just showing his off in this as well. The Tokyo Marui Tackmaster. And we've got over here the KJW Elite Brigadier Beretta Elite from KJW. It's a copy of the Western Arms. It's very nice. It's got a rail mount here that mounts to the trigger guard, which has some very nice Beretta logos on it as well. So that's cool. Then we've got this weird sort of project Beretta that I've been working on, which has a interesting story to it, which I'll get into. And then finally, not forever finally, I do intend to add some more to the collection, but we've got the 90-2. This is a WE that's nice and engraved. Sort of very futury, I guess. The Beretta PX series kind of like lines and cuts to it and details. It's super nice. This one has a full auto feature. So I'll start off with my chrome Tokyo Marui one. This was my first one, first Beretta that is. Wanted it for a long time. I had debated going with the standard black one for obvious die-hard reasons, but I really liked how Marui have done the chrome finish. It seemed to get better the more they did it. I think they did the 226, it was all right. They did their revolvers and stuff, which was, you know, all right. And then this, which is really good. It's not shiny and in your face. It's kind of like a dull. It's still shiny, but it's not like bright, if you know what I mean. It's kind of like dulled, and it looks like it's like a nickel finish. It looks like it's made of metal. It's really nice. It feels like it's made of metal when it's cold, even. So yeah, I think it's some kind of plating thing that they do. I don't know. But then the Desert Eagle is unreal. If you've held the Tokyo Marui Desert Eagle, it takes some real convincing to show you that it's not actually made of metal. So yeah, it's super nice, super accurate. The difference between the Maruis and any other pistol you use in terms of like accuracy and range is like night and day. It shoots where you are pointing it further than any other brand. You do have to give it to them. All of the energy goes into sending that BB where it needs to go through their magical hop-up system. Because less energy is needed to push back the plastic slide. And that's just how it works. I mean, it doesn't sound particularly nice. I know the newer ones, the newer Maruis have more metal parts inside underneath the slide that actually interact with each other and create like a nice sort of twangy clank when it cycles. You get a bit of like a clickety clacketiness to it. But above everything else, especially with the finish, it's just so smooth. It's incredibly smooth. And it's very nice. There's like fuck all play between the slide and the frame. And this one, unlike my old 1911, you could actually like squish the plastic together. You can't really do that on this. Tiny little bit, but like nothing by comparison. Obviously, with Maruis, you shouldn't put green gas in them. You should use duster gas in them because they're plastic and stuff. In the colder months, you can use green gas in them. I've not had any issues. It makes them super snappy. I'll see if I can find a bit of video. Yeah, it's just ridiculous. Super snappy, super loud. The plastic, for some reason, sounds louder than metal guns when they're firing. I don't know why. It just seems to amplify the sound of it firing. So it's super loud, super snappy on green gas. And it does make you want to just run it on green gas all the time, but you shouldn't, so don't. So that's my beautiful, beautiful chrome M9. I've used it in a skirmish indoors. Again, I don't want to muddy this up or risk losing it really. It's a bit of a piece. It's a nice collector's kind of Beretta, so I don't want to risk losing this anywhere. It performed great indoors, super snappy. When you're in single action, it's just super responsive. Everything's obviously lighter because it's plastic, so it's super snappy, super punchy, super responsive, and yeah, you can confidently play with this indoors. I've got enough mags to run a game just using this. Between all the pistols, they're all Marui clones, so they all copy the inner workings of the Marui for the most. For that reason, like all the mags work. So if I want to take a Beretta, I've got a plethora of magazines to choose from. And now what moves that onto nicely is the magazines. Now this is the really nice chrome one. This is metal, so this is where a lot of the weight is in this pistol. But the magazines are a good size. They hold a good amount of BBs. I think it's like 26 or something, which is, you know, quite a substantial amount of BBs, as well as a good amount of gas. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not like a high kappa mag. It's not quite as practical as that, but it's the right amount of gas, I find, for the BBs. You can easily do 2 full mag refills with most M9 mags, 2 full mag refills on 1 puff of gas, which is good. Just fill this one up. Obviously, they all, depending on the brand and the valves and stuff, they all sounds kind of different, but they hold a good amount of gas. And this is what makes them, this is what makes M9s, M92s, Berettas, makes them like a practical airsoft gun to use. Before this, I used my 1911, and that, even like indoors with that thin magazine, just wouldn't hold enough gas to really reliably empty the entire magazine with consistency. So moving on to M9s was like waking up, you know, okay, this is how my pistol's supposed to perform when I've got a good amount of gas for the amount of BBs in there. So yeah, most of them have the nice little handy wider section at the bottom here. So you pull that down and you load your BBs in through the wider section and they stack up nicely. This one's quite new and it's shipped from Asia, so there's a little bit of a slow leak there that I'm going to need to sort out, but as I said, they all fit each other, so that is handy. Okay, so that was my Tokyo Marui M92 in chrome. That's what got me into them. That's now my more of a collector's piece. I'm going to use that less. I probably will use it in the colder months because of the plastic slide. It just seems to work better in the cold with green gas, that is. So the one we'll look at next, another Tokyo Marui. This is the Tactical Master. It's got forward slide serrations as well as the rear ones. It's got what we call the mountain. I don't know, it just makes it look a bit meaner, this extra line that goes up here compared to the original. And it's more or less like what Tom Cruise uses in Mission Impossible 2. It's got a shorter barrel that's a bit more flush with the slide. Super nice. The grip is nice and ergonomic with these finger grooves. It really is comfortable, rubberized grip. And as I said, like, this grip is what came on this one. I just prefer the look of the chrome with the classic Beretta grip. So this is my housemate. We've been playing together a few years now. He had this, and he's had it for years, right? He's must have had it for 20 years. He played way back when and started playing again when we met, basically. It had this lower, not these grips, similar grips, but they had actually sort of worn away over time. They just kind of, the rubber had eroded or whatever, and was no longer usable. Because of that, he'd also lost, not this part, I'll get onto that in a bit, but the spring that goes here that holds up the hammer arm, which is this. And this is the trigger hammer bar. There's a little sort of V spring that holds that up and keeps it engaging. So he'd lost that spring. You can actually find those quite easily now. For a while, I don't know why at the time that we couldn't. We did find them. It was like 12 quid for a tiny little spring. So he just kind of like held off. The gun just sat in a box, in the original box, just in his drawer for years, unfortunately. That was until I found these grips on eBay for like super cheap. They're quite nice Hogue grips, and they've got markings on them, but they were literally like 4 quid. We got these in, and as you can tell, they just don't really fit properly. This bit wasn't quite grasping the trigger bar, the trigger hammer bar, and so things weren't interacting correctly. So I got him those grips as like a let's get your pistol working kind of thing. And then a colleague of mine at the airsoft shop I used to work at, he had an old HFC M9. He basically wanted it for the full auto feature of the slide on that has. Now, the lowers are exactly the same, the semi-auto and the full auto versions. The lowers are the same. He wanted the slide, so he gave me, basically, it was very nice of him, he gave me this black HFC M190 is what they call it, lower. And it came with these HFC grips. And obviously this had the spring in it. All I really needed was the spring, but I thought it was cool to have a metal frame for this, because obviously the Marui one's plastic, and it's a very nice plastic, you know, like just like the chrome one. It's finished really nicely, like it is quite convincing plastic. But you know, want a bit more heft, want a bit more in the hand, feels nicer, feels more comfortable. Metal frame with a rail, game changer. Now you can mount a light. I do need some pointers as to what flashlight will fit this, because my Surefire doesn't seem to like the HFC frame cut, which is annoying. Yeah, it doesn't seem to like the HFC's M9's cut out in the frame, and it doesn't lock in, which is a shame because it looks dope. It's almost the perfect length, you know. And to be fair, it's not really going anywhere. I've got a lot of I put heavier spring in the mechanism in this to sort of stop it from moving around so much on my other pistols, and that does wear down the rails a bit more, but you know, it means I've got a light that doesn't go anywhere. This one's got 3 rail slots, so it fits on here, no problem. And to be honest, I'm just going to keep it on there. If I want another Surefire on one of my other pistols, I'm just going to buy another one of these 40 quid Wasden Surefire X300s. He's got the frame for his Beretta with a working spring and trigger bar. Swapped out the grips for my ones because I wanted these ones on here. These were on here at the time. Swapped them. Gave him these, so he doesn't need these crappy ones anymore. They basically just hold everything together in his pistol. They hold the mag catching on his original spare frame that just sits in the box. Would be cool to get this hammer on here for sure, if he wants to do that at some point soon. That's that. So that's now his pistol complete. It feels great with the metal frame and the heft, but it still has the Marui hop up and inner barrel. It still has the Marui, so it's super snappy because this is plastic. Even though it doesn't look it, it's finished really nicely as well. Even though it's just black, looks the part and feels great. And because it's still made of plastic, as I said, it's super snappy. super snappy. So it's kind of like the best of both worlds. You get the heft, but you get the snappiness on, you know, duster gas and in the winter green gas. I forgot to mention with this one as well, on the Maruis and the Marui clones, the safety is not a decocker, it's just a safety. It just disengages the trigger. Yeah, it's not, my one in here actually needs a new spring in it, it's quite loose. And with the green gas in it, the kick from the green gas actually turns the safety on, which is kind of funny and annoying. Springs for that are easy to find and pretty cheap, so I can sort that out, no problem. That was me fucking around with it as well. It wouldn't have done that had I not taken it apart and lost the original spring. So this is super nice. With the extended mag as well, it looks boss. This mag in all of these just adds an extra level of aggression to the look of them. So that's the Tackmaster. I obviously helped put this together and really liked it. Ended up really liking it and wanting my own Tackmaster. Found this super cheap. I think the pistol was 50 quid on the used Airsoft forums. Immaculate condition. It did have a bit of a weird one where the safety wouldn't quite work. I don't even think I did anything really. I took it apart and then put it back together and then it worked. So it just wouldn't quite engage. So it would still engage the hammer. It does it there a little bit, but it just needs to be like fully down. And that's the only thing that's wrong with it. It functions absolutely fine. Obviously, this is a KJW. It is all made of metal, and that's kind of what I wanted from it. I had my plastic one that's really nice. I wanted a full metal Tackmaster styled Beretta. As far as I'm aware, these are real Beretta grips as well. They came with it. So I think the guy just needed to get rid of it quickly. I bought this trigger guard rail attachment separately and the flashlight separately. I could happily use this as my primary. Just go around playing indoor CQB with this. It's really nice. And again, this mag just transforms it into this absolute piece. KJW Elite M9 for special operations. This is really cool. This is the one that I would use probably the most out of them. It's nice and kind of plain Jane. I don't need anything else on here really. The sights are quite tall and easy to obtain. There's no dots on them for some reason. I don't know why, but they're just a bit bulkier than the sights on the Tokyo Marui. Again, safety's not a decocker like the real one. It's just disengages the trigger. On the newer Marui M9s, that is a functioning decocker. These M9s have a fixed hop up. I don't know why. I think maybe they were one of Tokyo Marui's first pistols or something. I don't really get how it works either. I think it's like the weight of the BB pushes down on a spring and a lever that pushes the hop up rubber nub down. So depending on the weight of the BB you're using, it will push it down more or less. I'm guessing. That's a complete guess. Correct me if I'm wrong. The latest M9 that Tokyo Marui have done, from the US M9 and the Chrome M9A1 and stuff, they put an adjustable hop up in. I would like one of those M9A1s. It's a bit like this, but it's got sort of this frame. And that brings me on to this one. So what the fuck is this? This is an amalgamation of parts. So I got a magazine from a shop. No, I got the slide from the shop I used to work at. One of the tech guys just gave it to me. It'd been sat there for years. He was like, "You like M9s?" Gave me the slide. The first thing I noticed, the recoil assembly locks into the outer barrel slightly differently. It doesn't have this sort of pin and hole on it. It's just a plate against a plate. But it seems to do the job. It's also a much stiffer recoil spring setup. And I was like, sweet, yeah, dual tone slide. That would look great on at the time. I can't remember which one I wanted to put it on at the time. Probably several of them. But yeah, but as you can see there, it didn't go on. It didn't go on any of them. I just had it for a bit as an option, but it didn't seem to fit anything. The frame, and it was the entire frame and the little spring that I needed for the hammer assembly and all that, just with no grip. So I got the grips off of the HFC lower that I got my housemate after I gave him the grips from mine, and I bought some Beretta grips for this. So these are the grips that were with the HFC lower that I got from work. The frame I got, I think it was for a $5 on the forums, on the used Airsoft forums. Weird camo green thing. I was planning on making it chrome and using the slide from this with it at first, and then I decided to not make it chrome because that would be very difficult to make it look good, and ended up just keeping it how it is. It looks kind of rugged and horrible and grim and mean, and I kind of like that about it. So yeah, so I got this to fit the slide to, and it wouldn't even go on. It wouldn't get past about there. So I had to really work on this and this to get them to work together. I wanted these two to work together, so it's the only two I worked on. I don't want to put this on anything else because I'd have to work off the finish and stuff like that here. So I worked off the finish and worked off the finish and worked off the finish, worked off the finish underneath, like the rails inside here that connect with the frame rails. And I've got it to a point where it's almost there. Like, I've been doing it for a while. I haven't sat there and dedicated hours and hours to it. I've just done it bit by bit when I can be bothered. This has been ongoing for about 4 months. And now it does actually, oh no, I've just got that down, silly me. Now it does go on, and it does fire. It does work. The recoil spring in there is really forcing it back. It's still a bit sticky, but it's getting there. It's getting there. Now the point of this one was to get this slide on it and stuff. But I was like, fuck, I'm going to full auto mod one. Now on a Beretta, to full auto mod the Airsoft ones at least, you take this part, I'll just pull this off again. You sand down this part of the trigger hammer bar. You just sand that down, and then it goes full auto. So I did that to one of them, and I had it full auto for a bit, very unreliably. Obviously the gun's not designed to do full auto. The nozzle's not designed to do full auto. It's not got a heavy enough spring in it to make it work quick enough to keep up with the full auto, and it's cycling like that. So it didn't really work very well. It was funny, it was cool. I might have some video of it doing its thing, but yeah, it wasn't. It was a gimmick, right? It didn't work. It wasn't reliable. It wasn't practical. For now, I've just pinched the one out of this Marui frame. This is just a regular one, not full auto, just to get this gun working properly again. Obviously, when you do that, when you sand that part down, you lose your safety as well. So this, at the moment, is just a bit of a project, but at some point will be working fully. It's cool. It's cool. I do want to change the grips out. Now that I want to use the gun or have a use for the gun, like, I do want to change the grips for something that's, say, Beretta instead of Taiwan Special Forces. Lastly for now, because I do intend on getting a couple more Berettas, which I'll talk about in a moment. But yeah, so this is the 90-2. Now the 90-2, I guess, is like how H&K did the MP5 and then sold it worldwide, and then did the UMP and then tried to sell that as like an updated, better version of the MP5. It's kind of like that. So Beretta did this to kind of improve the M92 FS, but they didn't really need to. Like, that was already a pretty perfect pistol. It had the military contracts and stuff, and you know, they offered this in a few other calibers. They did like a 40 Smith & Wesson and like maybe a 10mm or something, I don't know. Yeah, the 90-2. You have to kind of say 90-2 so you can differentiate, because otherwise it's just another 92, right? It just says 92. So yeah. So this one's made by WE. For the most part, copy the Marui. But I believe this is a copy of the later Marui, because it does have an adjustable hop-up, which is great because that means this can lift 3.2s with ease, making it perfect for outdoor. Another reason why I would rather use it outdoor than indoor is because it has the full auto. I can't really use that indoors. And the full auto is reliable. It works. The gun cycles and feeds and it interacts properly. Like, everything works in full auto as it should. So it's kind of cool. I'm not too much of a fan of this silver barrel vibe, but it's not, again, it's like this chrome. It's not like a bright in your face silver. It's fitting and still in keeping with the aesthetics of the gun. I just prefer it in black. But on the WE, it does come threaded, so I can put a suppressor straight on here, or a tracer or something. There is a considerable amount of play up and down in the barrel. I mean, it's something that's there, present on all of them, but this one especially. However, it's just the outer barrel. The hop-up seems to be held in place by the frame, and that in turn, mostly, for the most part, keeps the inner barrel where it should be. So it's just movement that the outer barrel has. I could probably fix that with like shimming it with some O-rings or something. I really, really like this. Unfortunately, when I got it, so I got this from KY Airsoft. They're a great shop in Hong Kong. They ship worldwide. Most of the time stuff doesn't get stopped by customs when it comes from them, so it comes straight to you. A good price. It was more expensive with the markings, but you know, you want markings, you got to pay for your markings if it doesn't come with markings, and I wanted the markings. If you watched any of my other videos, you'll know that I'm a bit of a slut for trademarks and markings and realistic details and stuff like that on my toy guns. So yeah, I had those done. So now unfortunately they forgot to put in the Beretta grips. It came with the original WE grips, which are a bit like this. They're a bit more that shape than this straight down shape. These are supposed to emulate more of like the Vertec Beretta grip. So it didn't come with these, so I went on Brownells and they had these for like 15 quid or something. These are real Beretta 90-2 grips. And I'd love to say that I just got them, took them out of the box, and they went straight on, but they didn't. I had to do a fair bit of like work to get them off. I had to take away some material from them, which is still kind of visible. I could probably tidy it up a bit better with sandpaper. I could tidy that up a little bit. And then I had to make this hole bigger so I could push the mechanism that locks them into place. So it's basically a pin that goes through your lanyard loop, not through the hole in the loop, just through another part. The pin that goes through holds that into place, holds your recoil spring and the grip in place, the hammer spring. The pin goes through, holds everything in, holds the grip on. Super cool. It's good little mechanical system. But I had to like widen that hole to be able to push the pin through. But now they're on and they're super comfortable. This gun is really comfy. It's also so loud, like so snappy. Like this is the snappiest Beretta I've got. The snappiest pistol I've got, hands down. Like just out the box, that clack. It's like it feels like it's on CO2. It's not on CO2. It's just the same gas I've been putting in the others. Like it's crazy, and it really rips on full auto as well. As you see from the shooting footage, it just rips. And I guess they've spec'd it up to handle that full auto fire. So when it's on semi, it just, as I say, it's snappy, it's clacky, it's loud, it's poppy, and it feels good to shoot. The sights are nice white dots, easy to acquire. They're a little bit taller than the others as well. And yeah, I really like this one. The markings are great. They've got down to, let's see if I can get some close-ups and put them in as well. Warning, retract slide to see if loaded, because obviously on the real one you can have a chambered round and it not be cocked. We've got made in Italy, Beretta Corp. Warning, fires without magazine, read manual before use. And again, that's because, like any pistol really, you can have one chambered and it not cocked, but because it's double action, it will fire. Super impressed with this. This will definitely become like a primary vibe, probably, with some more mags and maybe even like a carbine kit on it or something, because it can go full auto. I could definitely run around with this as a primary and a carbine kit. I know I said I didn't really like the silver barrel and I prefer it in black, but it does have this really nice finish to it. It almost feels like it's coated in like plastic to protect it, but it's not. It's just how well it's been finished. It's really nice. So that's the Berettas, really. There's a couple more I want. There's a couple more different variants out there that I don't have. I really like the M9A3 with the Vertec grip, so the straight down vertical grip. The A3 is obviously the one that didn't make the latest US military contract that SIG won, but obviously they still released it as the M9A3. So it'd be cool to have one of those. There's a nice one in the silver inox finish, and Umarex do one of those. So I've had my eye on that for a while. And then other than that, all there is really Beretta wise is the 84s. There's a couple of really nice 84 cheetahs that I want. I really want someone to make an X Series 92, mostly for me, for the optics mount. If I could have an optic on a Beretta, I would never pick up a high capper again, probably. If someone could please make a Beretta 92 X Series and an 84 X Series, please do it. I don't get why no one's done that already. The M9, the M92 is a popular pistol. I don't get why someone isn't doing that. Umarex, Tokyo Marui, please make a 92X series. That's about it for my obsession with Berettas. If you like Berettas or if you prefer something else, let me know in the comments. Why wouldn't you just love the Beretta? John McClane, need I say anymore? Die Hard, John McClane's pistol. Why wouldn't you want John McClane's pistol? Neo, The Matrix. Why wouldn't you want his pistol? Mission Impossible, yeah, Tom Cruise, whatever, but still, it's the pistol of choice for the US Army, many other armies, police forces, for many, many reasons. There's a good variety of them in Airsoft. There could still be an X Series 92X somewhere. And I feel like it's been left behind in the world of Airsoft. Everyone's just doing the M9 and the 92 and not doing anything since then, because, I mean, they don't really need to. They sell themselves. People love the M9s and M92s, but we could get a more up-to-date X Series with an optics cut, slide ready to mount optics, then my collection could be complete. Thanks for watching this video. I really appreciate the support. Like and subscribe if you liked this video. Give it a share or something. Cheers. I'll see you in the next one.